Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lexi and today we're doing another pick a card and we're following on with the Halloween themed pick a cards. So today we are taking a look at what guidance your shadow self has for you. So any messages that your shadow self has, I'm going to be channeling today. So remember with this reading, this one's probably going to be a little bit heavy, so trigger warning before I begin. I tend to find when I use the Deviant Moon Tarot as well that more shadow attributes come up. So we are really going to be focusing on energies in the subconscious, things that are coming up to heal, things that need to be healed and anything like that. So if you are not feeling ready for a video like this, feel free to click off. I won't be offended, and I will have a Halloween video up on Monday as well. But if that's what you're here to do and roll up the sleeves and see what comes through, then let's get straight into the video. So I have 3 piles for you guys to choose from. Pile number 1 is the rose quartz. Pile number 2 is the smoky quartz. And pile number 3 is the clear quartz. So see which crystal you are drawn to. The timestamps are going to be in the description box as usual. On that note as well, before I get into the readings, I have little scratches over my arms, but it's nothing to worry about. As you guys have probably seen by now, I have a new little kitten and she sleeps with me and she likes to scratch and claw and bite, so I have little scratches everywhere. So don't be alarmed if you see scratches. I'm all good. It's just Luna just chewing me to shreds basically. So yeah, I wanted to get that out the way before I began. So let's get straight into the video. Like I said, the timestamps are going to be in the description box, so pick which crystal you're drawn to and I'll see you guys at your timestamps. And welcome to your reading. So we are taking a look at what guidance and messages your shadow self has for you right now. So you guys chose the rose quartz. I'm going to start with the Deviant Moon Tarot and then I'm going to move on to your oracles. I will be focusing more so on channeling, so I'll probably focus more on the oracle cards rather than tarot for this reading, but I intend to pull about 2 or 3 unless more come out. So yeah, let's get in. So pile number 1, please, spirit guides, can you tap me in to the collective of my pile number 1s? What messages and guidance do my pile number 1's shadow selves need to hear right now? What guidance and messages do my pile number 1s? Straight up we have the devil. Let's pop that there. Pile number 1, what guidance and messages do my pile number 1s need to hear right now? We have the Knight of Pentacles. Final card, what guidance and messages do my pile number 1s need to hear? Okay, you have 2 cards that have come out. So we have the 7 of Wands. Straight away I'm hearing imposter syndrome, imposter syndrome, imposter syndrome. I keep hearing it. We have the Sun. Now what I'm actually being taken to is, you know, in the movie Shrek, the 3rd movie, when Shrek doesn't want to be king, so he looks for the other heir to the throne, which I cannot remember who the guy was. Actually, yeah, no, I think it was Arthur. Correct me if I'm wrong. And Shrek goes to get Arthur and he's just like this guy and he's kind of bullied in school and picked on, and he's who you would, like, I guess from a storyline back in the day, not expect to be like a king. And Shrek doesn't care because Shrek doesn't want to be king, so he grabs Arthur and he's like, wait, come on, you're coming back to far away, you're going to be king. And he doesn't believe that he's worthy to be king. Like, he kind of goes through his own little journey. Look at me bringing metaphysical metaphors from Shrek, but yeah, he doesn't really believe that he's supposed to be king, and he goes through his own little journey where he, like, starts to kind of, like, really see himself as that and believe in himself as that. I'm sure, I can't remember much of the plot, but I'm sure he saves the day at one point. And he goes through that imposter syndrome of feeling like that's not for him to then realize that he has that power in him, right? It's probably was never meant to be that deep, but look at me making it deep. And the reason that I think that came through for you guys is I feel like you guys are dealing with imposter syndrome quite strongly right now. There is a craft, because the Knight of Pentacles, it's something physical here. There's something either physically you're wanting to bring in, or there is a craft that you guys are super good at, but you're telling yourself you're not. You're telling yourself you can't have what you're desiring. You're telling yourself that you can't, you may not be as good as what you actually are, or what you're doing. There's a strong feeling of that. Or it's reminding me as well, like, you know, sometimes on your spiritual journey when you're connecting to spirit and you start to question things, and it happens to everyone, where you're like, was that my mind, or was that me? Was I making it all up? Am I really that good? Like, and you really start to question yourself and sometimes belittle yourself. And I feel like there's a feeling, whether it's a craft or it's something you want to bring in, where you're stepping towards it because you're drawn to it, because it's for you. And I feel like you're aligning with it on a hearty level, but then it's like you're almost putting yourself down, or these little thoughts in your brain are putting yourself down. And I don't know if you in your childhood dealt with you know, people putting you down, parents putting you down. You may have dealt with narcissism in the home, you may have dealt with you know, bullies earlier in life. And I feel like it's in a way from childhood kind of come into your awareness as you may be attacking yourself, telling yourself that you're not worthy of this, and that. And I feel like a lot of the times as well, you tend to, and your shadow self is saying this, listen to naysayers, listen to other people's opinions, and allow them to infiltrate who you are, what you are, and the potential that you can actually reach. And I always say other people's perception is not your reality. And I say this a lot when it comes to anything in life, and not just in the spiritual journey, but anything. For us to have a universal truth, everybody on earth has to have their own opinion of something and their own way of looking at something. And that's how we get this collective truth. And a lot of the times people will try and convince people of their opinion. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm big, you're small. A lot of people will want to convince people of their way of living, how spirituality fits for them. It's meant to fit that other person. And that's not true. We all have our own way of doing things that are going to be tailored to us. You have your own way of doing things that are tailored to you. You have your own way of looking at life that is tailored to you. However, I feel like along the lines, you may have learned to listen to other people's opinions, or other people have just been very boisterous with their opinions and their perception of who you are, that you have taken it on. I feel like at times you've taken on others people's perceptions of who you are that aren't even true. People that haven't even walked a day in your life, people that haven't cried the tears that you've cried, people that haven't had to struggle the way that you have had maybe a warped version of who you are, projected it onto you. And even with everything that, every tear you've cried, every effort that you've put into things, you've taken on their opinion, you've taken on their perception, because it's sometimes easy for you guys to get swayed in that, because you guys are strongly empathic. You guys strongly value connection with people, value connection with animals, value connection with other people. And you guys take a lot of opinions on, not just to like take them on and become them, but take them on to analyze them and understand them. But somewhere along the line, you guys would feel a feeling that somebody has to you, listen to an opinion that someone has for you, and instead of just analyzing it, I feel like you guys may have learned to really take it on, feel it. Because I feel like sometimes you guys feel other people's pain, other people's shadows, and it's like you take them on, you take on other people's burdens, that it all kind of sometimes gets infiltrated into your being, that sometimes you forget who you are and what you stand for. And I feel like you guys have been on a journey of empowerment to really reach this sun and really realize who you are, balance your energies out, and really understand your opinion and how good you are. However, you're reaching a point of empowerment right now where it's kind of in a way a test, but when I say test, it's in a way of, I'm being shown like shadows around you, like energies around you, and it's almost like you're going to do something, or you're about to take a leap, or you're about to change the course of something in your life, or you're about to open up to new opportunities, but then there's these little, and they look like little shadows, like, you can't have this, that's not going to happen, that's never going to happen. You know, you're imagining this, and it's all coming through. And the reason these things are coming through is for you to acknowledge them, not run from them, acknowledge them, observe them, and alchemize them into your own power. Because these little thoughts that are coming up, they're coming through as messengers for you to show you where there may be cracks in your foundation. And the reason they're making their way through them cracks is to show you that they're there, so you can acknowledge them, teach them that that's not true, empower yourself with them, and fill in that crack so they can't make their way back in, because you know who you are, you know how good you are at what you do, and you know what your goals are in this lifetime, and you know what your blueprint is in this lifetime, and you know what your mission is in this lifetime. and it's nothing to do with anybody else and what they're projecting onto you. So I feel like you're dealing with that right now, and some heavy insecurities coming through. You may feel like you're a little bit on the defense right now, so people may be saying things and you're a little bit more defensive than usual. That's normal. But you're being told to not run from these feelings. You are being told to alchemize these feelings and to really look in that mirror and empower yourself. When these feelings come in, really observe them, look at them, and empower. Maybe talk back to them, stand up for yourself to them. Maybe going back, maybe doing a meditation and going back to childhood, where people may have said things to you that hurt you. People may have said things to you that you felt degraded you. And in your childhood form, energetic form, standing up for yourself, saying things that you didn't say back then, rewriting the memory. You know what I mean? And empowering your inner child that way, and teaching your inner child, actually, that person was wrong, you know? I remember when I was younger, my mother, obviously, I've mentioned on the channel before, had substance abuse issues, and a lot of people had opinions of that, even from young, of how I was going to grow up, the person I was going to be. I took all these opinions on, and I remember there was dinner ladies in my school, and these dinner ladies did not like my mother, and they would take this frustration out on me, and they would say really mean things to me in front of the kids, and the kids would laugh. And obviously they're older, so they're adults, so I would take everything on that these dinner ladies would say, and I would feel like I was worth nothing, and that followed me into my adulthood. And I remember at one point going back to my childhood, and the first place my inner child took me was to the playground in my school, to those dinner ladies, and I completely forgot the memory was even there. And my inner child took me there and showed me the misery and the perception that those people had, and projecting that onto a child, because I think I was about 8, 9, showed me that and was like, what do you have to say? And I really thought I was going to hit back with like, yeah, F you. And you know what? I didn't. I sent love to them, and I was like, I'm so sorry you have this in your heart. I don't know what you would have dealt with in life for you to put this on a child and spew these projections out, but they're not my reality. And I apologize to my inner child for taking these on. I apologize to myself for taking these on, and I apologize to you guys for what went on in your life. I send you guys love. I really hope you find that love. And I was able to rejoice in that, and my power then came from my heart. So every time these little thoughts would come into my brain, or these things came into my brain, I would empower them with love. I'd be like, that's not true. That's not true. That's not my reality, and that's not who I am, and I know who I am. And it would come from my heart, and I would just send it love back. You know what I mean? And empower it with love back, and it would go away, because what was happening then, them cracks in my foundation were being powered with love. So every time I had to tap into anything that was dark or low or taking me out of my power, I just had to tap into my heart, and it just pushed it away. And that was something I had to learn, and I feel like that's for you guys too. I don't know what you would have dealt with that would make you feel like whatever this is, this gift that you guys have, or this talent that you guys have, or just this ability to alchemize and be the magician in your life and create life for you. I don't know who or what told you that you can't reach that, but you can, and that power is within you, and you're learning to reach this sun energy and empower yourself. But to do that, you're being shown these cracks in your foundation and these thoughts in your mind, so that you can alchemize them to really empower yourself from within and not need anybody else's validation. And that's a message from your shadow self right now, to listen to these thoughts that are coming through, go into meditation, ask your shadow self. Could be a heart chakra meditation, it could be a solar plexus meditation. You can do it in silence, or you can listen to meditations on YouTube. Do whatever you need to get in the zone, but set the intention beforehand that you're going to connect with your inner child, or the part of you that you feel is connected to these wounds, and ask them to show you where it's coming from, and listen to your higher self and your inner child of where you need to go and what you need to say to who, what, where, when, and why, and say it and see where that strength and that power is coming from, you know? Because I really thought, it reminds me as well of like Insidious when I think back to that memory. There's a scene in Insidious in the 4th movie, and I can't remember I think her name was Elena, I think, and she was the one that would speak to spirit, and she had a really bad relationship with her dad, and when she went into the ethers to really connect with her father, she had so much anger towards him. This darker energy was there that was kind of controlling him, gave her a whip to like whip the father and really get a revenge on the father. But when she went to do that, she realized that that negative being was trying to get hate within her to send that negative energy back, and she realized that, and instead she gave forgiveness. I'm sure she sent love to him or something like that. She sent something to him or forgave him or something like that, or managed to get that negative energy to go away, and she was able to empower herself with that. So that's a really strong message from your shadow self, the recognition of your power. And I feel like for you guys, it's coming from your heart with this rose quartz. I feel like you guys are like kind of gentle giants with your heart. You have so much love to give. And it's funny, the back of the deck is the Ace of Swords, because it's reminding me of the sword and the stone, and I'm sure it was Arthur that pulled the sword from the stone too. I'm sure it was. So that's something that that card is taking me to, you guys being so worthy, and I feel like you're on a journey of really seeing yourself. So let's pull some oracle cards now. Okay, let's pull one of the shamanic cards first. Pile number 1, messages from pile number 1, shadow self. And you know what's funny? When I did your reading, when I started your reading, I think I had about 4 false starts, because I kept getting this kind of message through, but it was being infiltrated with, nope, this is wrong. Nope, you can't read today. Your energy's too tired today. And I know I'm not tired. Like I topped up my energy yesterday and did a power retrieval yesterday, so I feel really good. And I kept getting this feeling of, you're too tired, and I was like, I'm not too tired, what do you want about? And then I kept getting like these energies coming through, like this isn't, you know, you can't read today, your mind's blocked today. And I was like, no, it's not. Like, I know it's not. Like, I knew before coming into this reading. So I could when I was tapping in, there was a couple of false starts with this energy, pile 1, because it was like there was something kind of pushing kind of like against me in a way, and I think I had to crack that to feel what you guys may be feeling that you're cracking right now, which is this empowerment to get you out of any energy or any stuck feeling, or you know, anything. I just, that sword is in your hands, and it always has been. It's never been out of your hands. It's just realizing that, you know what I mean? We have the altar, which is honoring. I think that you guys have been learning, you're on a journey of honoring your sacredness, honoring who you are, honoring your creativity, your gifts, your power within yourself. Like, these physical bodies are our own little altars that we have, you know what I mean? And we have to nurture them in order for them to work for us, right? And to work right for us. And there's just such a strong energy here. Like, you guys can see potential in everybody. You guys can see potential in all things, even people with some of the darkest traits. You guys can see their potential in people, but then when it comes to you and this beautiful heart, you sometimes don't see it because you were trained not to see it, or something taught you not to see it. And this is being reversed, this is being alchemized, so that you honor yourself and you pour back into yourself, because that light that you're looking for has always been within you. And the reason that you saw light in everybody else and you saw the potential in everybody else, it wasn't necessarily them, because everybody has potential. It was you seeing it. It was the way your mind was wired to see the depth in someone. That's how you were able to see the depth and the light in people, you know. The back of the deck, we have plant medicine, which is truth. That's what we have here. And when we think of plant medicine, like when we think of these you know, plants that we take, like ayahuasca, and you know, we take psilocybin and things like that, they really help us let go of ego conditionings. A lot of people that go through ayahuasca and, you know, journeys like that, and psilocybin, I've never been on a journey like that myself, but what I've learned from people, and I've heard stories from people, is that they tend to go through an ego death. They tend to go through a very big alchemization, and a lot of their fears are confronted. I've heard a lot of stories like that, specifically with ayahuasca. And I feel like even without the plant medicine, that's something that you're going through right now. I feel like you don't necessarily need to do any medicines like that, because you naturally just are always inquiring about life and yourself, that these lessons that would come from maybe a plant, they come in everyday life anyway, for you to alchemize. And I feel like right now, especially with, you know, the circles going around it, I feel like you're peeling layers off right now so that these flowers can bloom. And I feel like that's something that's happening really strong for you guys. So you have to kind of like face the ugly and face the demons and face the shadows, you know. And it happens a lot as well when we connect with spirit, you know, I would have beings come to me and pretend that they were something that they weren't, and darker energies, and pretend that they had this hold over me, and they had this, you know, they were going to stick in my energy and do bad things to me. And I had to learn they had absolutely no power over me at all. And the minute they'd come to me, and it sometimes happens in readings, this energy will come through and I'll be like, right, show me your true form, show me your true form. The minute I say that to them, they either disappear or I start to see their true form, and it's nothing like what they were presenting to me. And these words that they were saying to me, it's like I knew, I could see through that. And it's the same in physical life. We have a lot of people that can sometimes be driven by envy or jealousy or anger or their own inner demons, that they'll start to say things to people, or they'll start to present themselves as something and project a lot of negative onto people, to try and gain power over them. And we're all here to learn that that power is within ourselves, and once we do that, we know not to give it away then, you know what I mean? We know where we are the creators of our own reality, and no one can you know, deter that. And that's a journey you're on. It could even be a journey you're on with spirit. You guys could find that maybe you've been connecting to spirit and other energies have been coming through, but it's something you're learning. You have no power over me. I can move past this. You have no power over me. I can see through this, you know what I mean? And not taking it on. And you see a lot in the spiritual journey where people will see a negative energy, or there'll be a being that will maybe mask itself, and then when they see the truth of it, they'll think that all connection to spirit is evil because of that one being, and then they'll run to a religion or something like that and hide behind it, because they're pushing that fear then, you know what I mean? And it's fine, that's their truth and it's their journey, but I tend to find a lot of the time it's because of you know, beings trying to gain like a power and drive that fear even more, and you're learning to overlook that fear and realize that you're creating that reality, and you walk with love, or you walk with your own inner power. And that could be for spirit, or that could be for just physical life, everyday life, and people's opinions, because it's no different, you know. It's just that we're in these little meat sacks, but it really is no different. When you dwindle in the realms, you see it's all the same. Yeah, we have tribes seek assistance. So if you guys are feeling a little bit stuck in the mud, and you guys are really feeling a little disempowered right now, I'm being called for you guys to call on your spirit guides right now to ease up, or really help you confront these energies and these shadow energies coming through, because I feel like you're on a little bit of a journey of, because there's smoke there, it's almost like clearing the smog, seeing things for what they really are, realizing your own power and your potential, and letting go of this. And I feel like you're being called to, there's either one spirit guide you're super connected to, it could be an ancestor, or it could be like an animal that's passed over or something like that. You're being called to call on that, to help journey with you, to be able to release that. That's something that's kind of coming through. If you guys are worried about negative feelings and emotions coming up, but your spirit guides are around you strong. We have the phoenix rise again. Look at that, alchemizing. We literally have that. So it's like you've been learning to have your power taken away from you, to then gain your power back, to then realize your power was actually never taken away from you ever. It was always there. And that's the kind of paradox of life, really. And you're on that kind of journey right now. And if it's feeling really intense, it's because you're about to really alchemize out of it and step into it. Everything gets more intense before we up level. It always happens that way. Pile number one, please, spirit guides. Pile number one, guidance from pile number one, shadow self. I feel like people as well have maybe told you who you are, you know, whether it's you're a narcissist, you're a bad person, you know, when you've stood up for yourself, or maybe projected onto you, or well, you're, you know, if you're connected to spirit, you're crazy, you know, or you're never gonna make a career out of being a musician, or, you know, anything like that. It's people that almost project onto you of what you are. So the cards we have that just fell, we have trader, exchange energy to create abundance. I'm being told to pull 3 of these, so I will. We have protection, guardian, drop your shields. One more card from this deck, please, spirit guides. One more card from this deck. Pile number one, guidance from pile number one, shadow self. Let me pop it up. Guidance from pile number 1, the shadow self. We have the Druid, hold space. And the back of the deck, we have Autumn, release the old and rest. So this is a level of shadow work that you guys are doing right now. These feelings and these thoughts, they're not going to be coming with you to this paradigm that you have been walking towards. So they're coming up to show you that they're there, so you can kind of like seal them in and alchemize them, so that this empowerment can come in and you can really acknowledge this new paradigm that you're stepping onto, and be open and feeling worthy of these blessings that are about to come in. Because you guys may have been getting triggered, maybe if you've been watching a blessing video or a love reading, and you may be feeling like, well, that sounds too good to be true, I can't have that, well, that's just wishful thinking, which is never ever true. We can have whatever we, you know, want to alchemize. We can have whatever we want to manifest in. That's what I was trying to say. We can have that. We're supposed to love in this lifetime. We're supposed to have beautiful romancing connections with people. We're supposed to love. We're supposed to have abundance. We're supposed to live that way. And I feel like maybe you guys have been thinking, well, maybe it's not for me. Maybe love isn't for me. Maybe this isn't for me. And it is, because you're so worthy of love and you are so worthy of abundance. And I think you've given so much out. It's about time it, you know, karma restores and it comes back to you. However, you're learning to feel worthy of it, to be able to really receive it, because maybe you've been pushing it away out of, well, I'm not worthy of this, which isn't true at all. So we have the trader, exchange energy to create abundance. And I think, again, the way you give out energy and the way you give out your light, sometimes you see a drought of getting it back, and you're supposed to get that back, and you will be getting that back. But I think that because you've seen maybe a lot of ugly in life, you may be looking at life like right now, like, what's the point? I'm feeling a lot of frustration. Again, you're being told to honor that, because there's also grief coming through in your reading of like, earth seems like hell right now. Why am I here? Why did I incarnate? I've been feeling like that recently too. I get it, but it's there for us to be aware of, to alchemize and release, because we really are here to love and shine that light and be abundant, you know what I mean? But unfortunately there's a lot of karma on earth, and we have to transmute that too, and that's something that you guys are doing. I feel like you guys are light workers. We have protection, guardian, drop your shield. So again, there's almost this feeling again of feeling a little bit like a feral cat when it comes to abundance and manifestations coming in. It's like I'm being told like, you're ready for like love if you're not in a relationship, and you're ready for quite a lot, but it's more so the mind now. It's like energetically and emotionally, like, yes, I'm ready for these things. However, my mind's telling me it's not safe to come out of hiding yet. My mind's telling me that I'm not really gonna get that paradigm yet, because I'm not worthy of it yet. It's more so worthiness than it is grief or pushing something away because you're scared of it. It's more so, I'm not worthy of this, I don't deserve this, this isn't for me. And you're meant to have that back. And I feel like you guys may be in defense. Do you see how she's pushing her hand out, where your energy's like, I'm not worthy, so I can't have this abundance yet, I'm not worthy. And that's why these feelings are coming up, not as punishment, for you to be aware. She has peacocks on top of her head, and you know, they open up and there's beauty. It's time you saw your wings. It's time you saw that beauty, you know, like a butterfly. It's like, it's time you saw your wings and the beauty that you are, so you can really see what you're worth. Ask for it and bring it in and welcome it in, because you know you're worth it. And it's almost an alchemization as well of the divine feminine, of being in that passive receiving energy, and really acknowledging that divinity within yourself. I feel like that's something you're awakening to right now. So it's almost like Spirit wants you to see these wings and open these wings and see all the color that you have. But to do that, it's like these thoughts in your brain that are telling you, don't, you can't do it, you're not gonna, you know what I mean, your wings aren't that nice and things like that. It's like these things are coming in, but they're coming up for you to look at them and be like, you're wrong. You know what I mean? You are wrong. My wings are beautiful, and I'm very worthy, and I'm very worthy of a beautiful, healthy relationship, and I'm very worthy of beautiful, healthy connections with friends, and I'm very, very worthy of success in my work and create an abundance out of my creativity and my art and my gifts. I'm worthy of that. I'm worthy of a life of abundance, and that's where that shift comes in, and that's what you're heading towards. And then Druid, hold space. I feel like you're being called to hold space for yourself right now, and not to be so hard on yourself, because that's another thing. I feel like you guys work on yourselves so much, but then you can be hard on yourself, that you're not doing enough when you alchemize so much anyway. And I'm hearing the Jordan Sparks song, One Step at a Time, where she sings, one step at a time, there's no need to rush. It's like learning to fly or falling in love. So it's like you're learning to really self-soothe and nurture. This is more divine feminine energy coming through, learning to self-soothe and nurture yourself. Maybe you had a bit of a rocky connection with your own mother in your earlier life, or the feminines in your life, the females in your life. So that divine feminine within yourself, it may have been a bit neglected, and you're learning to nurture and really mother yourself right now, to build yourself up in that way, and be protective over yourself in that way, and not pick yourself apart for not doing all that you wanted to do in a day because your masculine side said you have to get A, B, C, D, and E done, you know? Your feminine side's coming in like, well, we can do A today, and if we want to take a rest tomorrow, we can. We'll do B on Wednesday, and you're learning to do that as well. It's all tying in with the divine feminine activation that's happening for you guys, which is really, really beautiful. You may also be dealing with feelings of shame in regards to sensual energy, sexual energy. You may be dealing with shame there, and again, you're being called to acknowledge those feelings, because we're meant to be connected to that sensual side of ourselves. We're meant to be. You know, that side of us is where we create more human life, you know what I mean? So it's sacred, and you're meant to be connected to it, and you're worthy of pleasure as well, is another thing coming through. Pile number one, messages from pile number one, shadow self. So we have renew. Nature continuously renews itself year after year. So that very much ties in with the spirals on the plant medicine card. I feel like you guys are shedding layers right now. It's your way of, and again with the autumn card, going through your autumn phase and shedding layers so you can reach a new part of yourself and really see that power in yourself. That's what's happening for you guys right now. And whenever we shed those layers back and we get into that winter phase where everything's bare, it can be hard. It can be, you can feel depressed, you can feel low. It's what's the word? It's intense is the word I was looking for. However, raking the leaves back and clearing that out and focusing on that and where we're at the moment, it helps us get ready and prepare for our spring. You know what I mean? And that's what we're doing. Final card, pile one. Message from pile one's shadow self. Resilient. You guys are resilient for sure. Stay as strong as evergreen trees. Nothing and no task would be given to you if you weren't capable of being able to alchemize it. And I feel like you're someone that's been through the ringer a little bit. And the fact that you've been able to come out of so much and alchemize and keep that beautiful fire in your heart, it shows your strength, because if you weren't able to do that, you would not have incarnated on earth knowing that certain things might have happened, and being prepared to work through generational karma and work through, you know, releasing these wounds that I see you working on right now. A lot of people, it might even take them out, you know what I mean? The reason you're able to do it is because you already have everything you need inside of yourself, and your intuition and your higher self already knows that. That's why you keep going. You know, even when I see you guys like, I'm done, I give up. And I'm seeing 22 on the clock, by the way. If you guys have been seeing that number, I see you guys like, I'm done, I give up. But every time you sit down and you're like, I give up, there's a drive in you that keeps you going, and that's your light and your fierceness. It's like within you. You have a fire in you that just doesn't burn out, which is just really, really beautiful. And you're learning to see how powerful that light really is. You're really starting to see that within you. And the back of the deck, we have adventure, live wild and free. We have that at the back of the deck. And I think, again, it's like in life we go through a lot of trials and tribulations, but then we get to a point where we realize that even though we make life really hard as human beings, our life on earth is actually meant to be very simple, and you've only got to look at the animal kingdom to really realize how simple life is supposed to be. But humans have generated all of this karma for ourselves, and we, you know what I mean, we struggle, we tell ourselves, well, life has to be hard, life isn't fair, it is this way. But when you look at the animal kingdom, they're so peaceful, and everything's just, they create their lives as they go. Today I'm going to eat a nut, tomorrow I'm gonna go for a swim in the lake. That's what I'm gonna do. Very easy, very simple. And I feel like you guys have always maybe had to go through a lot of trials and tribulations, that a peaceful, easy life for you may even sound impossible, and your mind may be telling you it's not possible, but it is. You know what I mean? It really, really is. And that might even trigger you the thought of that, but that's what you're learning to alchemize. Yeah, so that was the message, pile number 1, that your shadow self has for you. So a reminder, if these thoughts or whatever are coming up and you wanting to find out where they're coming from, listening to any music that you would for meditation, if it's water sounds, beach sounds, whatever, ask with intent before you begin that your inner child will greet you and meet you somewhere and take you where you need to go to confront these energies, and go on a little bit of a journey like that, and say what you need to say to whoever you need to say it energetically. Even if there's a bit of frustration coming out, do that. And I can guarantee you'll make your way back to just feeling complete, forgiveness and sending love, you know what I mean, back, and empowering yourself that way. Or it could be a different way. I don't want to imprint too much, but that's what you're being called to do by your shadow self right now. So that's the message I have for you, pile 1. I really hope that you enjoyed. Hit the thumbs up and comment down below if you did. I'm sending you guys all of my love. I hope you have a beautiful morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys in my next video. So thank you guys for watching. Hey pile 2, welcome to your reading. So we are taking a look at what guidance and messages your shadow self has for you right now. So I'm going to start with tarot and then move into your oracle cards. When I opened up to your reading, as you guys know by now, what I usually do is I get feelings, energies, colors, and straight away I was just being shown the Ankh, the Egyptian Ankh. Now I feel like it's coming through either representing like ancient Egypt, and maybe you guys have in past lives there. I usually have a pile that connects me there, but also it's coming through maybe as a protective symbol. So either you guys use that already as a protective symbol and it's just something that's coming through, or there's a message for you guys to use that as protection, or you guys having a strong resonance with it on a spiritual level, that will help you guys in protecting your energy, because that's the first thing I was shown straight away. And what I'm also being shown is Sekhmet. She's coming through. So I don't know if some of you guys work with her, have her as a guide, coming through really strong. She may have even been showing up if you guys don't work with her, for some of you guys in this collective of pile 2, because she's coming through quite strongly. So there's a really strong reference to Egypt coming through, and Sekhmet's coming through quite strongly. So it's really, really interesting that that's coming in. And I'm also being shown the color orange, really, really strong as well, which obviously connects to the sacral chakra. So you guys may be going through a clear out in your sacral chakra. You may be having an activation there. We'll see as it goes on. But if you guys have been feeling a little bit low, or a little bit depressed, or just like low at the moment, if you've found your energies and you've been purging a lot like that, it could be in regards to you releasing, in regards to your sacral chakra. That's just something that's coming through. So yeah, let's get in. Pile number 2, messages from pile number 2. Sekhmet's come through really strong as like a guardian energy for this pile. Really interesting. Like in my mind's eye, I can feel her power. She feels really strong, just coming and sitting with me, with you guys' energy. It's really interesting how she popped in there. She didn't pop in, she just enforced. Her energy was just there. It's really, really beautiful. Pile number 2, smoky quartz pile. Messages from pile number 2 shadow self. Any guidance from my pile number 2's shadow self? Oh, okay. We have the moon. I'm being told to place that upright, so pop that upright. Pile number 2, please, spirit guides, messages from pile number 2's shadow self, guidance from my pile number 2's shadow self. We have the 3 of Cups. Guidance and messages from, okay, we have 2 lots of 3 here. We have the 3 of Swords and the 3 of Cups with the moon. Interesting. Very interesting. And the Emperor is reversed at the back of the deck. Very, very interesting. Okay. Okay. First things first. I was gonna say Iggy Azalea song then. First things first on the realist. First things first. I'm being told that your shadow self has taken me to connection with others and an untrustworthy feeling towards others. Now, this could be partnerships, but with the Three of Cups, I'm feeling this may be friendships to our family members. When I'm looking at the moon here, you know, the moon talks about illusions, and what you see in this actual card is two puppets dancing. I feel like you guys in your lifetime have really had to deal with people that have acted one way, done something else. I'm hearing disloyal, being disloyal to you, but acted like they were super loyal to you. Said things and not followed up on their promise. Or really just you've seen the light in them and seen the good in them, but they didn't live up to that potential and decided to connect to their shadow traits, or maybe really do you wrong or disappoint you, is a feeling I'm hearing. And I feel like that's really had you reach a lot of heartache within your own self. I feel like maybe you've dealt with people that have talked about you bad, or relationships that have, you know, maybe you've been cheated on or anything like that, or something like that. And I feel like you have this mentality that your shadow self has taken me to, with the Emperor being reversed, of I don't need anyone, I can do it myself. I can go the rest of this incarnation on my own. Something that I say sometimes, so I'm being called out a little bit, is I connect with animals more than I do with people. I don't really like to connect with people too much. I like animals better, and that's beautiful, and it's also great that you have this empowerment, that you feel you're able to do things on your own and never let anyone take that away from you. However, your shadow self is referencing there's a part of you that really does long for connection, and that's not a part of you that you should shun, because human beings are meant to connect. As far back as we go, we moved in tribes. Human beings moved in collectives and tribes. And when you look at anything on earth, you know what I mean? When you look at trees, the tree doesn't just sprout one apple. It sprouts tons of them in clumps and in collectives. You don't just see one random tree. I mean, you might do sometimes, but it tends to be a bunch of them. And, you know, you see cats, they have a pack. You see lions, they have their little, you know, prides. You have dolphins with their pods, and birds with their flocks. It comes in collectives. And I feel like for you, you've been on a deep lesson of learning to have heavy boundaries, to set boundaries, to honor yourself and not self-sacrifice. I feel like you've been on that journey of maybe giving too much of yourself and people taking, where you've seen a lot of ugly, and you've had to border up, and you've put boundaries in, but you're at a point where it's just like, I don't think I need a relationship. I don't need anyone to come in. I don't need any friendships. I don't trust people. I don't need that. But then in your subconscious within, there's an emotional part where there's still a little bit of grief, I'm being told, where it's like, well, why can't I have a relationship like that? Why haven't I had a relationship like that? Why didn't it work out for me like that? Why don't I have a friendship like that? Why isn't that there? You're worthy of that, and that will come in for you, but you have to be open to it now. And what you're actually dealing with, it's not a distrust of other people, because the amount of you that's clicked on this pile number 2, there are other people out there that move with integrity and listen to people's boundaries or whatever. There are other people like that, and you know this. I think you've seen it. However, where your distrust is, it's not with others, it's with yourself. There's a fear that if you open up to love, or you open up to a friendship, there's a fear that you might not be able to spot the red flags. And there's a fear that you might, you know, fall for somebody's facade again. And there's a fear that you may lie to yourself that someone isn't who they are, and you may fall back into old ways. That's actually where the untrustworthy is coming from. It's not with other people, because and you know this, you're intelligent. You're empathic, you're intuitive. You can tell, you know, the masks now. You've been through enough lessons to learn where the red flags are. You know this, and you see that. But there's a worry and a fear within yourself that you may fall back to old ways, that you may give too much of yourself to someone, that you may be too over self-sacrificing to somebody and they may be able to take from you. You're worried that you may let someone come into this tower and destroy it. You're worried of that. And what you're being called to do is look at the journey you've been on and how you've been able to alchemize and open up to the vulnerability of trusting yourself and leaping in the dark into being open to new connections with people, being open to new partnerships and relationships, being open to that. But with that inner knowing that you'll be okay, even if it does fall through, because life is a journey and you've got you. And if something isn't for you, it's only because there's something even better for you around the corner. You know, there's a fear then of, well, what if I go into a connection and it falls apart? Something that falls apart is because it served its purpose and there's something better for you. You know what I mean? You're not going to get stuck in limbo going around in that cycle, because you'll know that there's something better for you. But there's a fear, one of everything falling apart again. There's a fear of that. But there's a fear of coming into people that may wear masks and may wear, you know, these little puppet costumes and not have your best intentions. But if you really look back, and I do it as well, when we look back at connections where we may have not put boundaries in, or we may have self-sacrificed, we would have seen those red flags. We weren't aware maybe what they were yet. We weren't aware that a boundary needed to be there yet. We learned then through that lesson that's where a boundary needs to be. So now when someone comes with that, you know, same, you know, intention, we're able to nip that in the bud and put that boundary in, because we know better, and you know better, but you need to trust that. And that's the message coming through from your shadow self. Because it's like with the Emperor card here, it's like you've built up this castle, but it's like everything's perfect, but I'm scared of letting people come in. I'm scared of a mess happening. I'm scared of people tearing it down. I'm scared of people taking it away from me. I'm scared of people kicking me out of my own castle that I've made. I'm scared of that, you know what I mean? But you know the boundaries now, and you're the person that gets to say who comes into your life. You're the person that's standing in front of that castle and analyzing people before that came in. And do you want to know what you have now that you didn't have before? Wisdom. You have that intelligence and that knowledge of what to look out for. So when that person's coming in, you're able to check if it's a mask or not. You're able to see what they want out of life and their values and the person that they are. And you're able to take that in and go, is this what I want in my castle? Is this what I can see myself with? Do I like this? You're the one in charge. You know what I mean? So there's a remembrance coming through for you guys, that you're being called to remember. That you have something now, which is intelligence and that wisdom, and you're able to use that. So trust that, trust everything that you've learned, because you're supposed to have love in this lifetime, and you're not supposed to shun and shame that within yourself, you know? Yes, we go through periods of isolation, but they're not for punishment. They're for us to learn about ourselves and build ourselves back up, so we can have even deeper connections now that we've met ourselves more deeper. And that's a journey that you've been on. It wasn't for you to be alone forever and, you know, everyone can stay away from me, you know, Elsa, what does she say, a kingdom of isolation, and it looks like I'm the queen. And we can fall into that rut as well, and there's times where we don't want to come out of that cave, because it's like, I don't trust anyone, I don't want anyone coming back in, it's peaceful here, you know? But that's when we've got to look at it. The people that you're going to be letting in, they have peace within them. You know what I mean? The people that you're going to be letting in, they're not going to have the same makeup as before, because you've learned those lessons. They're not going to be coming in with waves of destruction anymore. You learned those lessons. You learned from that. So these people are coming in, you're preserving your peace, but those people that are coming in have peace within them too. And how do you know that? Because you're the one stood at the door checking before they come in. You know what I mean? And you're being called to be open and vulnerable to that, and trust in yourself that it's time now to maybe share that castle with someone else or bring somebody else in your time, of course. But you're really being called to work through that, because there's a part of you that you're shunning that does love and does love connection. You know what I mean? And you're not meant to shun that. And your shadow self saying, you don't even want to shun that. You love people. You love to connect with people. You know what I mean? You love expressing your emotions and having that with people. I think some of you guys may have even forgot that, or repelled it away to not tap into that. And you're being called to bring that back in and open up to that, because it's, you know, we're meant to have connection with people in life. That's how we learn and how we grow and how we see ourselves deeper through other people too. And you're coming into a phase where you're ready to open up to people now. And your shadow self saying, it's time. That's why these fears are coming up. It's time. you know. And a lot of the time when, you know, we allow other people to come into our life, we can then build on from that castle with the help from other people, and they can help us build that castle, and we can grow from them too, and we'll have an even grander castle then from their experiences that we've learned from them. You know what I mean? And they can add value to that, because people do add value to each other's lives. And I feel like, you know, that's what you're opening up to now. But I feel like there's shadows of the past, and how connections went, and how friendships went, and how relationships went, that you may be looking back to and going, I don't want that again. But you've learned from that, you've moved on, and you're being called to trust what you've learned. Pile number 2, your card ran away. I'm going to pull again, because that was a card that was on the top that fell, and I don't feel, you know, you just know energetically that wasn't for the reading. Pile number 2, please, spirit guides. Messages from pile number 2's shadow self. Guidance from pile number 2's shadow self. Guidance from pile number 2's shadow self. Oh, we have the conch shell calling. I feel like as well, you've reached an energetic position, like you've reached an alignment within yourself that's, without even you calling it out, is calling in your soul tribe, you know, connections with people that you're meant to have relationships and friendships with. You've reached a point in your life where you're actually calling that in energetically, because you all resonate with each other on that vibration. It's like you're ready, but it's that mental fear of like, oh, I don't know if I can try. I'm scared of going back. I'm scared of going back right in those cycles. But you've closed the door. You know what I mean? You have closed the door, and you're so wise, and you need to give credit for how wise you've become. You know what I mean? And how much you've poured into yourself. We also have medicine bag, treasure. And when we think of a bag and we put things in that we collect and find, you already have the wisdom and the knowledge to be able to see past anything that would take you back to that old reality of being hurt and having connections like that. You already have the tools within to deal, you know, even if something was like to happen where, you know what I mean, you could get hurt or something like that. You've already got these badges of honor and tools to be able to alchemize from things like that, and you're being called to trust in that, and trust in spirit as well, that spirit's always going to bring you what you need when you need it. There's a strong reference of that. Pile number 2, messages from pile number 2's shadow self. Guidance from pile number 2's shadow self. Ooh. We have the moon again, which is funnily enough going to sit next to the moon, which is feminine zest, and we have butterflies here as well. You guys are deeply intuitive, like super intuitive, and I feel like sometimes you don't give yourself enough credit for that. I feel like you've alchemized so much. You are literally this butterfly now. You're not going to be crawling on the compost on the floor anymore like a caterpillar, because that body's gone. You've completely alchemized it. And you're being called to walk in that, and trust your intuition that's got you this far. The back of the deck, we have natural medicine south. And again, there's like animals here as well. I think that there's a part of you that really does love and love connection, and I feel like you've shunned it. And the message from your shadow self is to kind of bring it back, open back up to it. It's time to open your heart back. And be ready and be vulnerable again. I'm hearing the song by Selena Gomez. It's literally called Vulnerable. If the only other option is letting go, I'll stay vulnerable. I think that's the lyrics. And that's what I'm hearing. So maybe give that a listen. Selena Gomez, Vulnerable. Pile number 2, please, spirit guides. Guidance from pile number 2, shadow self. So we have Magic Guardian. Unlock the magic within. Pile number 2, please, spirit guides. Pile number 2, guidance from pile number 2's shadow self. Let me move them up so I can. We have Summer, bask in joy and light. Yeah, I feel like life's about to ramp up a little bit on the social front, whether that's because of your career or maybe you're going on a bit of a journey somewhere. Or maybe something's just going to happen and shift in your life where new people are going to come in. You know, when you reach that point of like a new beginning in your life, it's like new characters come in. You know what I mean? Like when you watch a film and you get new characters, you're at that point of like a new season when new characters come in, new people come in. You're at that point. And that's why your shadow self's calling you to open up to it, because I feel like you still feel like, nope, people are deceiving. I don't want people around. But that's your outdated way of thinking. And we also have snake shadow skin, which is literally what I was talking about the outdated way of thinking. So we have that there. The back of the deck, we have Medicine Mother, honor your inner knowing. So again, honoring who you are, honoring your intuition, honoring everything that you've known. You're being called to do that. And as well, looking at the journey that you've been on and empowering yourself. I feel like you've been through so much, you know, anguish and pain and anger, and you've alchemized, and it's like your love's back. And I get, obviously you're pouring all that love back into yourself now, and I see that, but you owe it to yourself to receive the love that you give out, and receive the loyalty that you give out, and receive the friendship and the connections that you give out. You give out so much, you deserve to have it back. And there are people out there that are going to give that back, you know what I mean, that look like you from the inside. I feel like maybe you gave a lot of it to people that didn't appreciate it, and people that didn't reciprocate it. But now that you've learned those boundaries, you can put those boundaries are up, and you've done that. The boundaries are up, but it's like they can be up, but then you can also keep a lookout for people that have that same resonance and bring them in. You don't have to shield yourself from those people that are really going to pour into you, and trust that you'll be able to, you know, see who's real and who's not just by feeling them out. Because I feel like sometimes you don't give yourself enough credit. You have unlocked the magic within. You don't give yourself enough credit about how powerful you are as a person, how intuitive you are, and how much you've learned, because you really have learned a lot in regards to connections with other people. And I think that's maybe been a bit of a karmic lesson in this lifetime that you've been learning. We have bask in joy and light as well. I see so much happiness coming in and joy coming in, and I think that you guys get joy from connections with other people. You just had to learn who, you know, you had to learn. It's kind of like the empath lesson of not everybody's deserving of you pouring into them, and you have to give some to yourself before giving to others, and connections have to be balanced. And maybe you've been, you know, wanting to heal others instead of actually having a connection, and maybe mixing that up, and you had to learn the difference. And I feel like you've been going through that lesson, which a lot of empaths tend to go through. And yeah, that's just something coming through. But it's time now. That's the message from your shadow self. It's time. And it's time to acknowledge the fact that you are quite romantic. I feel like I want to cringe a little bit when I'm saying it. And the reason you guys may cringe at the thought of love, romantic movies, romantic music. And you're being called to dabble in it and listen to it and open up to it. Because even my throat was like, no. My throat was like, stop, no. Because I can feel it coming in. It's like, no. Like, there's this feeling of, I have it within me that I like romance and I like all of that, but I'm telling myself no. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. So then I'm feeling like I want to cringe and saying it, but romance is beautiful and love is beautiful. And it's funny because if you actually scroll back on some of my earlier videos, I used to say I hated anything to do with love and romance. And you guys know I've been healing and alchemizing this whole time, and I love love now, and I love the idea of romance and stuff. I think it's really lovely. So, you know, there is, you are able to do that. There is that time period where you open back up to it, and you tend to then journey into that and find more about yourself that you didn't even know. And you've got such a beautiful heart as well. And there are other people out there that mimic it, that are going to be pouring back into you too. Pile number 2. What message does pile number 2 shadow self have for them? We have humility. Flowers are unaware of each other's beauty. They bloom regardless. That's beautiful. Yeah, it's like, again, Selena Gomez is coming through a lot for you guys. She has a song called Dance Again. Same album as the other song. It's called Rare. You might like the album if this is coming through. And the song's called Dance Again, and she says, happiness is throwing your heart through every brick wall or something like that. But she's talking about being able to dance again and open up and feel free again. She sings like, it feels so good to dance again. And she says vulnerable in that song as well. She says vulnerable isn't easy, believe me, but I go there. So she's singing about kind of getting that back, and I feel like you guys are coming back into your heart and not just romanticizing like love and connections again, but romanticizing life again. I feel like that's gonna really be a little bit of a journey for you and a really beautiful homecoming for you. But you're being called to acknowledge that this is a part of you that exists and deserves to be fed, you know. Pile number 2, messages from pile number 2's shadow self, guidance from pile number 2, shadow self. We have resilience, stay as strong as evergreen trees. And I'm taking that for you guys because this came up for pile 1 as well, but for you guys with the resilient card and it's saying stay as strong as evergreen trees, I'm being told to say the wisdom and everything that you've learned, you know, it's rooted within you now, you know. And when you know better, you naturally do better, you know. I remember when I just began like my Kundalini awakening, and I was trying to run back to things from my past, and I actually ran back to a person in my past that didn't treat me very well. And a lot of the times in the past I would turn a blind eye because I, you know, as my inner child wanting nurturing and love from this person, I would turn a blind eye to the breadcrumbs I was being given. And when I ran back to that person knowing better, I couldn't accept anything that this person was giving me. I was like, this is awful, I can't accept any of this, like I deserve more than this. And I cut off straight away because I even though I wanted to run back to my past because I was scared of the shadow work that was coming up and the fears and everything coming up, even though I was scared of it, I still couldn't bring myself to accept breadcrumbs because I knew better. And that's you guys, it's already rooted within you, you know what I mean. In the back of the deck we have retreat, spoil yourself in the morning mist, breathe in nature's sweet scents. You've been learning to choose you and focus on you and love you, and you've done so beautifully. And you're at a point now where, because you're learning to love you and give to you, something that you know deep down you deserve is beautiful love back and beautiful connections back. You know you deserve that, and you know deep down you want that. So if you're giving to yourself and you're on this love journey and you're on this empowered journey and you know you deserve it and you know deep down you'd really want that, isn't it time to be open and really go get what you want now that you've learned the lessons? That's the message from your shadow self. Yeah, that's the message. And I'm being told, leave it there. Just leave it do its work. Leave it there. That's what I'm being told. So pile 2, that is what I have for you guys today. I really hope that this reading resonated for you. It brought you clarity. Hit the thumbs up and comment down below if it did. I'm sending you guys all of my love. I hope you have a beautiful morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are watching. And hopefully I will see you guys in my next video. So thank you guys for watching. Hey pile 3, welcome to your reading. So today we are taking a look at what guidance and messages your shadow self has for you. So you guys chose the clear quartz point. I placed that up in the corner. I'm going to start with tarot and then we're going to move on to your oracle cards. So let's get straight in. So pile number 3, please spirit guides, can you tap me into the collective of my pile number 3s? Tap me into the collective of my pile number 3 shadow selves. What guidance and messages does pile number 3 shadow self have for my pile number 3? I love how that just jumped out straight away. So we have the Chariot. Pile number 3, please, spirit guides. Pile number 3. Pile number 3, guidance and messages from pile number 3, shadow self. So we have the Wheel of Fortune, which actually came out in reverse, which I'm going to pop in reversed. And then we also have the Four of Pentacles as well, which did come out in reverse. I'm going to place it there. However, there's something about, I'll either end up reversing them this way for the end of the reading, or I'm going to be reading that energy in general. But I'm being told to pop them reverse for me to actually read and understand the cards first. And then we have Temperance at the back of the deck. So I'm going to pop that bit here. I'll leave it in view for now, and then I'll move it out of view when I get the other cards. So pile number 3, please, Spirit Guides. Pile number 3. Right now I'm being told, okay, how do I put this into words? You guys are being called to ease up on the control of what's going on in your life right now. This is the message from your shadow self. There's a shift coming in. Reason I'm saying it is I'm being shown tsunamis coming in. Reason I'm being shown that is for the last 2 years, pretty much since 2020, I've been having crazy dreams of like a worldwide tsunami happening. And obviously in the astrals, obviously in the dream world, tsunamis, there could be a reasonable physical explanation of it, could be a psychic dream, but also in the astral world everything's symbolic. So when I look at the emotional wave coming through like a tsunami and cover and everything, that's an influx of emotions, you know what I mean? That's a big how do I explain it? A big tornado, let's say, of emotions that are coming through and sweeping through the collective for us to purge and work through and heal through. Right now that's happening in your life. I'm being shown a big tsunami coming in, which is kind of like infiltrating your physical body. And there's a lot of alchemizations that have been happening. So your shadow self is a little bit in a bit of a cocoon right now. Sometimes the shadow self will step towards me and be like, this, I'm taking you here, here, here. Your shadow self isn't coming through as a person, but rather a cocoon full of goo, meaning everything is being alchemized right now. And your shadow self is coming through to say that although you're somebody that likes everything to be in control and to have everything in order, you guys may be perfectionists, right now is actually a time to live a little bit of a life of a nomad, to be very open as to what is about to come in, be very focused on the present moment and pouring into yourself, because there's nothing that you can control outside of yourself. The only thing that we can control is ourselves. A lot of the time when, you know, we talk about spirituality and people reaching a level of nirvana and inner peace and all of that, when we reach that level of peace, you know, people say, oh, well, it's bypassing sometimes to reach a level of peace because there's no such thing as a peaceful life. However, when we reach nirvana, when we reach this enlightenment, it's not that everything goes away and we have this peaceful life. We find inner peace. Things may still happen. This world is a bit of a destructive world. Deaths happen a lot, you know what I mean? There's an alchemization of the physical body that happens, and we have to sit through those emotions of grievance. That happens. That's not going to stop just because we've reached enlightenment. Pain happens. We let go of friendships. We let go of relationships. All of these things happen. It doesn't mean that they stop happening and peace happens in your life. It means that you find inner peace within you and you react to it differently. You know what I mean? You're able to be aware of those emotions differently, and instead of those emotions building up because you don't want to deal with them and you're looking away and they build up and they clog, you know, all your energy points and your chakras, you're aware of it, you feel it, and you allow it to pass. You honor the feeling of anger, you honor the feeling of frustration, you honor the feeling of sadness, and you allow it to pass because life's always in a state of flux. And your shadow self is asking that you remember that, because right now there's a flush happening and things may be feeling a little stuck in the mud. Things may be feeling a little bit up in the air, but you're being called to be aware of this. Acknowledge it, because you're reaching a point of enlightenment in a way, I'm being told. You're reaching a point of being able to you're reaching a point of awareness is what I'm going to say. But that's only reached by grounding into our physical body and being aware of what we're feeling. So right now, with the Wheel of Fortune being reversed here and the Four of Pentacles being reversed here, it's like right now you're being called to very much focus on you with the Temperance card and the Wheel of Fortune. It's like everything's coming to a halt. So either you may be trying to start a new career or do this or do that right now. Things are maybe feeling like they're stuck in the mud, but only for you to be aware of feelings that are happening right now so you can acknowledge them and allow them to pass through before this wheel starts turning. Because the reason that this wheel is reversed and the Chariot card is here is you guys may have been trying to control an outcome of something. But we can't control anything beyond ourselves. And when we try to do that and we try and control, well, I'm feeling sad right now and I don't want to, if we don't acknowledge the sadness and we run away from it and we try to make ourselves happy and we ignore the feeling that we're having, it can create a clog. It can create a halt, because it's like that wheel can't turn, because that feeling of sadness is acting like a spade in the cog, and it's jolting it, it's stopping it from turning. So now we're feeling frustration. So instead of running away from that, we pick up the spade, we analyze it, we understand it, we hold it for a second, we look at its purpose, we alchemize it, we feel it, and then we are able to let it go, and then that wheel starts to turn again. So the reason that things may be feeling a little bit halted right now, you're being called to deal with these feelings and emotions coming up right now and be aware of them. And not because they're a part of you and you need to hold on to them, but you acknowledge that it's something you're feeling in this moment. But you're not going to be feeling like it next week. You know what I mean? Because you're feeling it now and you're honoring it. And the more you do that, the more it's able to flow. When we try to stop the flow of water, it builds up, and it'll build up into this massive water wall. But if we just allow it to surrender and flow, it's going to be able to move where it needs to go, you know? And that's what's happening. That's why we have drains, you know what I mean? In our like in the concrete, let's say, you know what I mean? We have drains everywhere, so that when we get rain, the water goes into that drains instead of building up, and then there's these excessive floods that happen. You know what I mean? So right now you may be feeling like there's either an excessive flood, a tsunami happening, where there's a lot of emotions coming through. They're coming through for you to feel and let them pass. Or it could be oh my God, no, that's it. That's what Spirit want me to focus on. That's what's happening. There's a flood, like a tsunami. Spirit was like, no, that's it. There's this flood, there's this tsunami of feelings coming through because you were going through an alchemization and you're being called to purge them out in order to step back. And with the Four of Pentacles, you may be trying to keep things in order and things are falling away. You know what I mean? You may be trying to keep your routine right now, your morning routine or your night routine. You may be trying to keep your social life as active as it is. You may be trying to keep these things like that, but they're falling away. Allow them to flow, because that means there's something new is about to take its place. Or what's falling away is about to be alchemized and returned back to you, because water recycles itself on earth. You know what I mean? It gets condensed. It goes up and then it rains down from the clouds. It comes back down and it goes in a cycle. It always goes in a cycle. So what you're maybe holding on to, the reason it's falling away, your shadow self is saying, it's going now, it's flowing, it's being alchemized, and it's going to make its way right back to you in a different form, better for you, because by the time you've purged all these emotions out, you know what I mean? By the time you've done that, you're going to be a different person. You're going to want something better, and by the time you realize that, this something better is going to come, and it's going to be the old thing alchemized into something greater. And what I've just realized is on the Chariot card here, look at the ground all chapped. There's a drought. There's a drought. It needs to be cleansed. The earth there needs to be cleansed. It needs a bit of water, and that's what's happening. You're being cleansed and you're going through a release right now, and that's why you're being called to focus on you, and that's why there's a halt right now in your energy, so you can pour into you and be very aware of the feelings you're feeling. It reminds me of when everyone went into lockdown and everyone was saying they were feeling low in lockdown, and a lot of the reason a lot of people were feeling low in that time period was because they couldn't run from themselves. They couldn't run from their emotions. They couldn't bury themselves in work and bury themselves in all of these things. They were in their home having to process feelings every day that they usually would run from, you know what I mean, or meet other people and jump in and ignore it. But people had to feel that, and that's why there's been such a shift since that time period, you know, part of it anyway. And I feel like that's happening for you guys. You know what I mean? There's a shift taking place. So let's pull some more cards. Pile number 3, a message from pile number 3 is shadow self. Honor your emotions and every feeling coming through. And remember that every feeling you have is a messenger. It's a messenger. And it's mirroring something within you. And once you purge it, it's gone. Everything's a messenger. Pile number... Oh, you have 2. Okay. So we have Shaman, completion. And I love we have the spirals. And the spirals here as well. You guys are releasing right now. This is a confirmation. And you guys also have... Look what you have. Water. What were we talking about the whole reading? And water is connected to emotions. And that's what's come through for you guys. So allow these feelings to flow. I know it's heavy. I know it's easy to say it, but when you're going through it, it's like, yeah, well, I'm in pain and I don't want to deal with this. This is heavy, and I get it. I completely get it. But you're reaching a period of enlightenment with this completion card here. You're reaching the ending of a cycle that you've been going round in. So you're dealing with these emotions to let go of them. The back of the deck, you have a journey. And that's a reminder that life is a journey. And I'm hearing Why Aren't You Smiling by Jhené Aiko, when she sings, you've got to trust the signs, everything will turn out fine. That's what I heard from her song. One of my favourite songs by Jhené Aiko there. So let's pull another card. Pile number 3. Messages and guidance from pile number 3, Shadow Self. Beautifully undone. Ruin. See, I feel like, and I'm shocked the Tower card didn't come out for you guys, but I guess it's come out here. Look at that. Beautifully undone. And ruin. You're alchemizing. You're letting go of the old. Shadow work is being done here. That's what's happening. So you're untangling yourself. But to untangle yourself, you have to honor the emotions that come with it. And that can be heavy. And I appreciate that can be really heavy. But it's so that you can be alchemized into something greater. We have standing firm. I feel like you guys may be trying to push the Tower back up. It's like, no, I don't want it to fall. And again, I get that. I have done that so many times. Human beings don't really like change at all. Because we've been taught to kind of fear it as well, you know. But everything's always changing. The earth is always shifting and changing. The tectonic plates are always moving and changing. You know what I mean? The ecosystems are changing. Their seasons are changing. We are always changing, you know. Always. And this is happening. But the thing about those changes in the physical world, they feel a lot more intense because everything feels a lot more concrete here. Even though it isn't, it's the illusion of the 3D and the physical world that it is. But really it isn't. Because in the higher realms, we just, boom, alchemize, boom, done. But on Earth, we hold on to things. We chain ourselves to things. We plant ourselves into things because everything moves slower. It feels real. It feels more concrete. We attach ourselves to things. It can feel heavier. So it can be harder then. Pile number... I'm going to pop these up right now. Because the wheel's then going to come in motion. And these pentacles are going to be given back to you. You know? And do you know what I love? Now that I've popped the card back up and I'm saying these pentacles are going to be given back to you. Look at the skeleton there. It's like the remnants of your old self. It's like that version of you had to alchemize. You've got the fire there for these new versions to kind of come back. You know what I mean? In a better version of you. They're going to be handed then back in a better way because you know, you've changed. You deserve more. You want more. It's really interesting. Love that. So we have spring. See your seeds grow. So maybe you guys have set the intention to jump onto another paradigm. Some of you guys may have set the intention to do shadow work so that you can be entangled from certain karma. And I feel like this is the universe responding to that. I feel like this is the physical world responding to that. Registering in your own inner energy. That's what you want. You may have actually set a manifestation out and this change is happening so that you can receive the manifestation. A lot of the times when we do manifest, it's always kind of explained to us like, oh yeah, we're going to manifest and we're going to get everything we want at the click of our fingers. But the thing is about manifesting is we have to align with what we want, and to align with what we want, we have to let go of what doesn't align with it. If we're, you know, wanting to be emotionally the best version of ourselves, we have to purge out anything that's holding us back to that old paradigm where we are walking without, you know, moving with our shadow self in the front and acting out of our shadows. We have to untangle ourselves from that if that's the manifestation that we want. A lot of work comes with it and a lot of sacrifice comes with manifestation, and that's something a lot of people don't talk about. It's talked as a kind of fairy tale that you can just have what you want, and you can have what you want, but you have to you know, go through that shift and change to get there, because you have to align with it. You know, anything that we want, we sacrifice when we want it. When we want to buy something, we sacrifice the money in our pockets to get it. You know what I mean? We're always sacrificing something for something else. We want to, you know, have a fit body because we want to go to the gym. We have to sacrifice our time and effort, you know what I mean? And waking up in the morning to go to that gym and put in that effort to get that, you know, fitness body that we might want, you know. And it's with everything. We have to put our time into it, and our effort. We have to sacrifice something. And that's something you're being called to remember. We have trust and thrive. So I feel like definitely with these animals coming through, and this like woodlands energy kind of coming through here, I feel like it's something you would have seeded, and this is coming as a result for you to alchemize, to be ready for it. Maybe you're asking for a relationship, and the emotions that are coming up are to do with love and betrayal and things like that. Inner child work. Maybe you've been asking for a healthy relationship, but a lot of your relationships have been mimicking connections you had with your parents, you know what I mean? Abandonment wounds and things like that. So your higher self is like, oh, well, we want this beautiful connection. Okay, well, we're gonna have to be aware of these abandonment wounds, and we're gonna have to really process them. Let's bring the tsunami in. Sorry guys, I just talk with my hands and I knock things. We're gonna have to bring the tsunami in to really, you know, deal with the emotions we bury down, because it's the subconscious that's having us, you know, want these connections that maybe aren't the best for us. So now we have to be aware of them to kind of bring them up. So that's what's happening. Pile number 3. And then the back of the deck, we have Mother Earth, feel loved and comforted. So just like the Temperance card at the back of the deck, you're being called to really focus and pour into you, and not distract yourself and try and push yourself to do anything right now, because you need to be nurturing your being for the amount of emotions you're purging and are about to purge and working through. You need to be nurturing you. You know, perfectionism, it has its good side and its bad side, and I feel like the butterflies here alchemizing, love that. I feel like you guys are maybe giving yourself a little bit of a hard time for things not being how they used to be, or things, you know, you guys may be needing a day in bed because you're purging emotions, but you're being called to nurture yourself right now because you're going through an alchemization. And just like your shadows coming through like the gloop in the cocoon, we literally have butterflies on this card. So that's what's happening. And you see Mother Gaia here, and she's birthing the earth. You're literally birthing a new paradigm for yourself while you cleanse away the old one, you know. The back of the deck, we have Spirit Fox. Trust your talents in changing times, literally. So trust what you set out to do. Trust that seed you've planted, and know that this is happening for you and not to you. These emotions are coming up for you to acknowledge, to put to bed and release. That's why they're coming up. Pile number 3, please, Spirit Guides, messages from pile number 3's shadow self. We have origins. Remember your roots. So again, you're being taken down to your roots. You're being taken down to your subconscious layer. It's like, it's almost reminding me of like the Christmas Carol. Honestly, one of my favorite films. You know, the cartoon one with like Jim Carrey. Love that. Honestly, I watch it every year. It's my favorite. But you know how he gets taken to his origins, he gets taken to his past, present and future. He has a wake-up call, but that helps him grow as a person. He's able to see where there were pains and emotions so he can release them. And that's what's happening for you guys. I feel like you're being taken down to your subconscious and your roots and maybe childhood to deal with emotions that have been manifesting, that have been keeping you from this manifestation or paradigm you're stepping towards, to become more in alignment with who you are and to let go of those old structures. Pile number 3, final card, fell on the floor. We have caution. Tread softly so as not to disturb the woodland flow. Right now, you're being called to really center yourself, nurture yourself, and don't be too excessive in maybe trying to run from these feelings or trying to keep up this structured way of living that you may have been living, or trying to keep this tower from not falling. Right now, your focus and intent is being called to be put on you, nurturing you, taking time out to rest, taking time out to process these emotions, and really observing your feelings and what you're feeling right now and honoring them instead of pushing them down. That's the message. The back of the deck, we have learn. Take a lesson from the owls, deeply observe the night. and you'll become a little wiser in the day. You guys may be going through a dark night of the soul. So you guys may be in the void phase, or in the phase where, you know, a lot of pains and things are coming up. But like it says here, deeply observe the night and you'll become a little wiser in the day. You know, you're learning about maybe your shadow side right now, so that you can move forward in complete alignment, hand in hand with your shadow self, and not having it kind of like control you and your pains control you moving forward, so that you're able to bring in this new paradigm. You're learning and you're growing and you're alchemizing, and layers are being peeled off right now, part 3. And I know it doesn't feel beautiful, but I promise when you get to that point where that light starts coming back in, and that new way of, you know, you have these new ways of looking at life, honestly, it's one of the most beautiful feelings and one of the most coming home feelings, and it all starts to make sense. I promise you, because I've been there. I promise. And that's where you're headed. Please be kind to yourself right now, is the message from your shadow self. Love that for you guys. So pile 3, that is what I have for you. I really hope that you enjoyed the reading, and I hope it resonated for you. Hit the thumbs up and comment down below if it did. I'm sending you guys all of my love. I hope you have a beautiful morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are watching, and hopefully I will see you guys in my next reading. So thank you guys for watching.